I think that is sort of one of the linchpins of this show is explaining what those factors are and how to understand them, how these play into so many other things besides filing flight plans.
Ready. Welcome to Opposing Bases Air Traffic Talk, an aviation podcast by two air traffic controllers and rated pilots who love to talk about flying, controlling, and everything in between. The show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be used as a substitute for your instructor, your supervisor, the FAA, the NTSB, or your CAT. The show will give you a better understanding of how things work in the National Airspace System and maybe even make you laugh along the way. Please welcome retired Army pilot Alpha Golf and first officer at Penguin Airlines, Romeo Hotel.
It's Monday, November 10th, 2025, episode 411. On today's show, we'll revisit IFR flight plan filing etiquette, propose the death penalty for laser light illumination events, and answer more of your awesome aviation questions. What's up, BG? I said it without laughing.
Hello, everyone. I love when I don't pre-read the things. I did not pre-read that. So.
It's a new bill being proposed in the House right now. Death penalty for laser light illumination. It's got all the signatures.
Extra death if you did it right as I was leaving.
At 10:14.
Yeah. Right as the mid people are getting me out.
Ooh, let me ask you that. Let me get your thoughts on this. When when the TRACON is moved upstairs for the mid,
yes.
What do you think about it? Just happened. A person on radar said, I got a laser event, and they key the button right as they say that. All right, I'm ready. Do you hand that responsibility to them, or do you do the paperwork?
I was involved in this scenario.
Where were you?
I was the person leaving.
Okay,
I was on the desk at the time in radar. The exchange between the controller being relieved and the mid controller was quite heated. I will not do the MR. Yes, you will. You're on position now. I'm leaving. You're here. You will do the MOR. There was a back and forth. I ended up doing the MOR.
Good job.
Because neither of them were going to do it. But it is a huge pain. And if you asked me, a colossal waste of time.
Well, it's definitely a waste. It goes nowhere.
Nothing happens.
Except for the time the cop called me and said, I'm at the house. I said, what house? He said, the one the laser came out of. I said, wait, what?
How do you know?
You remember this?
No.
They took the lat longs that we gave them and they plugged it in and it was a place.
No.
So I explained to him, I said, look, this was a pilot from like 8,000 feet. This was a total guess. I said, do you see a laser coming out from anywhere? He says, no. I said, well, I promise that's not where it originated. I said, I can't tell you to do your job, but if you knock on the door and say, we're here to talk about the laser event, someone's going to get very confused and likely upset.
So I think I told the story about the one I had on the mid one night at 2 a.m. And of course, everyone goes out to break in their engine at 2 a.m. So this guy is circling over Coat Factory.
Oh, doing the stay in the pattern in case the engine does have a problem.
At 2,000 feet.
All right.
Making circles. And calls up and says, we just got lased. We are continuing to get lased. I'm like, okay, let's do all the questions. Color, injuries. Do you know where it's coming from? He says, yeah, I have an address, and it's It's this apartment complex, second door from the right from the office.
I don't remember this.
I'm like, oh, we got him. We're getting them. I called the police. I told them. They went. The pilot says, I see the police. They're here.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, this is a first. I'm going to get an Archie League for this. We're finally going to catch the laser guy. Do you think we got him? Do you think we got him?
No.
No.
Because he said I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's no way to prove it.
Right. You need to ask him to film it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, turn the camera on.
Yeah, please. While you're
Engine
keying
braking
up.
guy.
Yeah. How's your week been? You're one mid into your 5 mid streak.
Yes, tonight is mid 2. Mm-hmm. I feel like it'll be better tonight as I'm slowly adjusting onto, the time. As I woke up later. I woke up the first time at, well, I didn't know what time it was, but I woke up and I'm like, huh, I feel pretty good.
No
I feel
alarm.
Okay.
No alarm.
No,
Okay.
just woke up.
Uh-huh.
And then I looked at the clock and it's like 9 o'clock and I'm like, no, I do not feel good. I'm going.
This is not happening.
This is not the time to get up. I'm going back to sleep.
So what time did you get up the second time?
11:40.
Excellent.
Maybe.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I'm on my way to, by the time I get adjusted to this shift, it'll be time to change back to days. Yeah.
We're going to stay positive, though. It's going to be a great week. If anybody has me getting home from Duke in a rental car on my commute this week, fill in the block. I made a decision. Every commute's different. You got to look at the matrix. You got to figure out your best move.
Right.
Time of the day matters. Level of confidence in my base flights operating, low. So I went with get on the first plane that gets me into the state logic.
Okay.
And I'll rent a car. And that's what I did.
Okay. Order that in your list of options. Where does this option fall in preference?
In preference, I would say my preference is to go straight to Triad.
That's number one. Okay.
But the problem is that's not till late. I was on the ground at 4. And that flight didn't leave until 9. And
it's probably frequently on the chopping block.
all the time. Yes.
Okay. Axed.
Yep. And with the current ATC environment, low
Right.
confidence, super low confidence.
Right.
So I said, I don't want to do that. 2-leg through Metroplex was another option on the table. That left a little bit later, but it would have only left me one option when I got to Metroplex and home at like midnight.
And you run the risk of getting stuck in the terminal at Metroplex.
Right. In a crowd of
human
people, like literally
traffic
wedged
jam.
between other humans. Yeah.
Just I can't move. Yeah.
Or it was a delayed flight, of course, and I think I got on a 4:30 or 4:40. I boarded. So I wasn't on the ground that long, but I had enough time to, drop my stuff off, get to another terminal, and dial in the rental car and get that situated. And that ended up going smooth, except for the fact that we were at 6,000 feet the whole time. Remember we talked about these escape routes?
Yes.
Look, I'm glad I made it back. Thanks for not canceling.
Right.
But please, somebody, for the love of God, tell me why we can't climb when we get south.
Once we're out of this area, once we're out of the center that's imposing this rule,
Yes.
can I please climb out of
Right.
6,000 feet?
Because are we supposed to believe that because there's no way we went Tracon to Tracon. We definitely arrived at some point in our flight in a centers to the surface.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. This is an opportune time for the person that owns at least 230.
to say, hey, instead of burning like triple your normal burn, do you want to climb? Maybe lessen the burn?
Maybe
No.
you could get above 10 and go faster than you're going now.
So it took to do what normally should be an hour and 20-minute flight was 2:15. Altitude burns less gas, and you go much faster.
Right. Huh. Weird.
It's weird. Tell me about your mid-fuel because of this.
Yeah. So an aircraft that came from Philly. Mm-hmm. By the time they got there, they were at 6,000. Well, first of all, this started a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we're getting these jets in weird places at 6,000, 8,000. Like, how did you get where you are?
Why are you there?
I don't understand how you got like this. And I asked the pilot that one time. I said, how did you get where you are right now? He's like, I don't know what you're asking. What events led to you being right here at 6,000? I don't understand what you're doing there.
And from the east and not from the north. So it's 90 degrees difference on their arrival position in your airspace.
Yeah, it's a terrible place. Mm-hmm. It makes a sector have to work them that shouldn't have to ever even touch them or know about them or anything.
Right.
That's why the arrival procedure exists the way that it does. Give it to the sector that's going to work you into the airport. Let's just skip that whole thing. And then the center was pointing those guys out, okay, to the sector that shouldn't be involved.
Oh, and then forcing them to west.
No. And then switching them to south, pointing them out to south, and then giving communication to south.
You do realize I could see them.
What are we doing here? I was just so irritated. And I think I'll take credit for starting the ball rolling on the inquiry too. Why is this happening? Mm-hmm. And that's when we found out, it's all these routes, you know. Mm-hmm.
So one of them was mid-fuel. What did you do with this person?
Yeah, sorry, I got derailed there. Okay. Min-fuel, they just are next.
Yeah. Which normally jets are next. It's not like...
Yeah, right.
It's not going to change anything.
Not a ton, but it could. I mean, you could have made a decision, and sometimes that has to happen. Hey, I got to get this slow guy in, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that wasn't a huge impact, but I've never seen it before. And all of a sudden, we're getting these jets that are out of gas because they've been flying at 6,000 feet, half the East Coast.
Right. Well, tomorrow's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
They don't know it yet, but we're recording another episode tomorrow. More to come. Stay tuned. Shall we begin?
Yeah, we probably should. Ranted enough.
All right. Since last week, we have a ton of new supporters on the Iceberg. Romeo Foxtrot, Oscar Papa, Bravo Golf, Romeo Juliet, Delta Papa, Romeo Romeo, Juliet Hotel, Juliet Bravo, Alpha Oscar, and Charlie Mike Romeo. Welcome. And a new PayPal drop from Golf Romeo. If you've been enjoying the show, you can take it to the next level by joining our premium feed on Supercast. Supporters get every episode on time, no delays, access to our live stream, bonus audio, the back catalog, and a direct line to us through our supporter-only email. You also keep the show ad-free and community-supported. You can learn more at opposingbases.supercast.com. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Review and announcements.
Review and announcements.
Singular for both.
Announcement.
You get the review, please.
Okay, the review. 5 stars. Titled Amazing Lessons for a New Pilot. Excuse me. As an old person, but a new pilot, this podcast was instrumental in helping me learn how to exist in the NAS. I went from being terrified to talk on the radio to looking forward to getting flight following and talking to ATC in my IFR training. I have been recommending this to everyone I know who is interested in aviation. If you fly or are interested in flying, this is the place to be. Romeo Whiskey Mike. Cool. Thank you.
Excellent. If you haven't left a review, now's the time to do one. We are out of reviews. We don't have one for the next show unless we get an email about it tonight. So please take the time to do that. 5 stars only, and type away with your thumbs and make a nice review. We may read it on the show. All right. Announcement supporter Alpha Bravo Mike from the Coffee Town passed their CFII. That's their instrument instructor ride. Congrats.
Excellent.
Sent a note. This was probably the most enjoyable practical test to date. It was conversational, focused on teaching and deep understanding of instrument flying and regulations. I truly still feel every certificate earned is just a license to learn.
Amen.
Love it. Congratulations. Enjoy that. Instructing instrument, as you know, AG, is a little more challenging, but it'll make you a better pilot as well. Watching someone else go through the ins and outs of instruments and trying to figure out ways to teach them when they're struggling, because they're going to struggle,
Yes.
will make you a better instructor and a better pilot. So congrats. All right. No sneaky snoopers, no Charlie Alpha segment. Moving on. Timely feedback.
Timely feedback.
There's only one of these. Cool. You cleared your throat. You get it.
You'll have to excuse me. I am recovering from an illness.
Oh.
Right. Number one from Penguinaut November Alpha. You know, when I saw that, my aviation brain said NA. Like,
Me too.
not authorized. Some timely feedback from OB411 and Juliet Charlie's feedback. Yes, there is really a DC-3 on floats north of the Labste Charlie. 2 radial engines, no turboprops. I've included some research from the research department. Okay, so I stand corrected. I said there's no way it has to be the turboprop version. There's no way those radials could push all this extra drag. But I guess they can.
There's going to be a picture on the screen in a second. Keep reading.
Okay, also, I was in the airplane during the no avionics flight and ran the handheld while he flew. I thought it would be good to provide a few points of clarification. I did not call approach from 20 miles on the handheld. Instead, I called approach through the RCO on the field. We were overflying. What? Which was 20 miles out from the tower, and that worked perfectly. I'm telling you right now, that is genius level hack right there. Brilliant.
I love
well
it.
Done. Well done.
Cheers noise.
Yes.
The screen now shows the DC-3 reference. These are 2 separate portions of this feedback.
Let me see this.
There's a video that AOPA put out about this specific airframe and the floats and the weight and the people operating it. It's pretty cool.
Wow. All right. Worked perfectly. I advised Tower what our runway and pattern entry was going to be in case the handheld batteries died. A little out-of-the-box thinking to be able to communicate with ATC from a distance. Just fantastic. Mm-hmm. A true demonstration of an in-depth knowledge of just the whole thing. Really great. Another call direct to the tower at the 10-mile ring, and it was loud and clear. Got a landing clearance, and everything was uneventful. Even talked to ground on the handheld. We spoke to a local controller at a monthly local coffee and controllers event the next day, and he indicated that the talk in the facility was that everything sounded great over the handheld and was no different than normal ops. At some point, I plan to test the distance of the handheld, but I think that 10 miles at 3,000 is plenty good for an emergency. I agree. Mm-hmm. I am now an even bigger advocate that everyone should have a handheld radio in their flight bag or airplane. Thanks to both of you. Keep up the good work. November Alpha. Yeah. We have been advocating handhelds for a long time. It could solve a lot of problems when you get in a jam.
We have recent feedback that we may end up reading on a show coming up, but someone had one. It was in the back seat. If you remember our trip to AirVenture and the Skyhawk, you can't get back there. Not with one person.
You're not getting back there. No.
So it has to be tested, and we suggest testing it with, you can get the weather on the ground, and if you're at a towered airport, get your clearance or make a first call with it so you know that it transmits. Put your headset on it, make sure everything works, so when you do have to use it in flight for the first time, you are familiar with the operation.
Yes.
And you know it works because the batteries, you already proved they work, so cool.
Right. Excellent story. Love it.
Yes, thank you. All right. Fancy jet music. All right, this week's show topic, we're going to revisit IFR training and how to file, sponsored by Penguin Club member Mike Golf. Hey guys, gee whiz question for you, and apologies if this has been brought up before. It has, but it's been a while, and we're going to take the chance to review some of this. Part of this came up last week, but we're going to get into kind of some details on it. The grand majority of my IFR flight training, says Mike Golf, and consequently, a lot of what I've done for my students as an instructor was framed around a round-robin flight plan. Leave airport A, go to airport B, maybe airport C, etc., but ultimately return to airport A in one flight plan. Now, AG, you can't see him unless you're in the chat. We're going to talk about why that would make you nervous as a controller, because there's automation issues that we're going to talk about, and why that's frustrating for us. But we'll get to it. While this has worked for me, I know this isn't exactly what real life IFR is always like from airport A to airport B. What I'd like to know is, does ATC have a preference? Does the system have a preference? Should I be filing 2 IFR flight plans, aka airport A to airport B, then B to A, and if there's a C in there, a third one, or so forth? Is there any difference for the controller working 2 flight plans versus 1 round robin? Thanks for all you do. Keep up the great work. Mike Golf from underneath the good land, Charlie. If you're listening and you have a way that you've been doing it and you assumed it was correct, we're asking you to keep an open mind, because we're going to talk about both options on this. What you have been doing might not be the best idea. And we're going to break it down. So the short answer is, and sometimes you get frustrated hearing this answer from controllers, it depends. It really does depend on a couple of variables that you need to be familiar with. So let's start. Yes. What are your initial thoughts?
It does depend. And I think that is sort of the one of the linchpins of this show is explaining what those factors are, and how to understand them, and how you're going to find out as we go through this how these play into so many other things besides filing flight plans. Okay, good.
All right, so first scenario, if you're working with the same approach control facility, and as a CFII, you need to be familiar with what airports, for instance, if you leave Coat Factory, how do I stay in Triad's airspace? Because 1, Duke is very close. 2, they don't know what a practice approach is. And 3, that's what Triad does all day. You want to stay on the correct side of the fence. So that, for instructors, should be your first note. I want to make sure I stay, for this scenario to play true, what we're going to say is 1 flight plan, you want to stay on the same approach control facility.
If you don't take anything else away from this conversation, that is the thing right there. Okay, stay, if you can, if it works with what your plan is, try to stay inside the facility.
Yes. Now, some airports are hard.
Right, if you want to be on 1 flight plan. Yes.
All right, so in your remarks, which you have an opportunity in an electronic flight bag, however you file, you can put practice approaches. Don't put a ton of detail. It won't carry a lot of the characters. We're going to assume you're doing practice approaches in VFR weather, no phone numbers, no canceling on the ground type of thing. You can use that space to put practice approaches. That strip comes out. It's sitting next to the controller. We're going to assume for this case you're also working at a non-towered airport and you're going back to a non-towered airport. The flight plan will be sitting there. They're going to sit down. Any controller is going to review what they have potentially on their plate for work, and they're going to see this. So when you do call up, hey, I want to pick up my IFR, we're doing practice approaches, they already know that, they have a heads up. Explain to everybody listening why it matters in the context of this conversation on staying on 1 facility in terms of automation. Do we ever have to flash them? Does that matter?
Right. You might inside the facility from 1 sector to another, but that it doesn't matter. I could tag up, anything. I could tag up a semi going down the interstate and hand them off to the next sector inside the facility. But I can't hand it off outside the facility. All right, and that's why this starts to matter. And you would think that in today's age, I could just automate and hand off a data tag to anybody that
Right.
touches the airspace, any boundary facility. Hey, I want to hand this off. Well, no, controller, you cannot do that. Because that plane, that plane has already done an approach to an airport somewhere. Mm-hmm. And if it dropped off the scope, it's probably not going. It's not always, but frequently, it does not automate. Now, this introduces, it's just another thing that has to happen. Do I have to make an amendment to update it, to progress it, to show it? Or is it just not going to hand off at all? And now I have to do a manual handoff, which is getting on the phone, bugging that controller. It can be a huge pain. If it's busy, that's the last thing I want to do. Right. And if the sector that I'm calling is busy and they hear me say manual handoff,
they're not picking up.
Nope, they have other stuff to do.
Yep, like listen to you breathe.
Right.
Right. All right, so let's assume this instructor realized, hey, these are the airports I want to go to. I've worked at them before. I know it's tried the entire time. I'm only going to file one flight plan. How should they file? Should they file A to B to back to C, or just A to B and then tell you about C later? Does it matter? You tell me. What's your preference?
If you're staying in the facility, just list all the airports you want to go to.
I like that.
And you could even get creative in the remarks. We're going to probably assume that you're doing prax approaches, and just as succinctly as you can, list what approach you want. G, let's say you want the RNAV 13 GPS 13 to somewhere. Just G13 is sufficient. The next one is an ILS to 6, I6. No spaces in between.
I bet you every controller would understand that.
They would know exactly what this meant. And you would fit probably all of them in the remarks section.
Yep. That is an option. You can do that.
Right.
All right. So another benefit of this, if you're not sure, you can call that first facility, the one that's over your non-towered airport, the approach number. You can call them and say, hey, I want to do practice approaches. I want to stay on your side of the fence. I know we're close to Duke or Vietnam. How do I do that? What airports do you work? It takes 2 seconds for whoever's in charge or the supervisor to tell you, all right, these are the airports you want to stick to. And they can give you any quick last-minute tips on what's happening and what you should file. But this is probably the best scenario I can think of to answer your question is staying in one facility with one flight plan.
Yes.
All right, let's go to scenario 2. You are going to leave Triad. You're going to go to Metroplex Airspace. They have a satellite controller there whose job is to actually do satellite approaches. They know what they're doing, and they want to do a round robin from Triad to what are we calling that? Southwest Racetrack Airport and back. How should they do that?
Yeah, this is where having one flight plan starts to become a problem, especially if you want multiple approaches in the outside of the originating facility. It's almost guaranteed that you're not going to automate back to the original facility.
All right, let's pause right there and talk about that. You took off. You get handed off to Metroplex. You're gone. You're out of Triad's system.
Yes.
Okay, they do 20 or 30 minutes worth of practice approaches. What is going to happen with that Metroplex controller? What's going to happen to their screen and when they try to hand them back?
Nothing. It just won't. It's not going to hand off.
Right.
It's going to say interface failure, IF. It's going to if. Because it's dropped out. You've spent enough time off of the scope,
right,
that the system thinks you're gone.
And to never return.
Never to return.
It doesn't matter if you put in the flight time and all the airports that you are going to be over there at that other place. It doesn't matter. The system isn't that smart.
Every once in a while, we will get a military that puts a delay in there, and it's actually on the flight plan.
We're going to talk about that in point 3.
Okay, well,
So save that.
okay, I'll save it.
Save that.
Okay.
Okay, so you check in with the next facility. They're going to have to explain what they want to do. Then they're going to be completely forgotten by Triad.
Yep.
They won't have an arrival strip.
No.
There won't be any indication that you're ever coming back outside of maybe controller 1 saying, it looks like they're trying to come back here. But as soon as you hand off, they know they are saying goodbye. This is going to be a manual handoff.
Right.
So, all right. If you are going to cross boundaries in your general aviation, I think it serves you better and the system to have different flight plans. You can tell the second controller, the second facility, this is our plan. We're going to do a couple approaches over here. We have an outbound from this place. Southwest Racetrack is a bad example because it's towered. Pick any other non-towered airport over there. Hey, after we do this miss, we want to pick up our clearance back to Triad Airspace. First of all, they're going to love you for having an understanding of this.
Yes.
And walking them through what could be a headache for them in 20 minutes.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. When most frequently where we experience this is military training. The P8 guys, some of the E2, the Navy. Anyway, they will file 2. Mm-hmm. And they say exactly what you're saying. Hey, we're going to do, or they'll put in the remarks, an hour, 60 minutes at Triad. Mm-hmm. And then they'll tell us, hey, we want to start off this ILS, this RNAV, this another ILS, pattern work with the tower, and then we'll pick up our outbound. Mm-hmm. Boom. Now I already know. Mm-hmm. You have an outbound. We can start working on that now. Mm-hmm. Hey, ground, do you see an outbound on this P8? Mm-hmm. Yes. Would you give it to local so they have it and scan it down so we have it? Mm-hmm. It's beautiful when they're done. An hour later, we read their outbound, while they're on the downwind or wherever. And then,
or you could have the tower read it.
Or the tower reads it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. And they do that last touch and go. You terminate the tag, their old tag, their original tag. Mm-hmm. Terminate. Issue the new code. It tags up. It flashes to the center. Off they go. It's super easy.
You pretty much did all of number 3 there.
Sorry.
No, that's perfect. And I'll tell the opposite story. And I feel like this stopped because of feedback from the show.
Yeah.
The one flight plan from the beach up to Triad and back to the beach doesn't work. And one of the biggest problems is even if you put the delay in, is altitude. You're going to file an altitude to get to point B, and you're going to spend an hour. The controller's going to hold on to that strip the whole time. It doesn't matter if you drop off. They're going to keep your data because you're only off the scope for seconds at a time before you come back up. It doesn't matter if the system drops or timed out or anything. You're still with them. When you try to go back, it is not going to give a preferential departure route in PDR to the tower to issue you a SID. And inevitably, you don't want to go back at sub 10,000 feet. You want to go back with some fuel savings because it's like an hour away.
Right.
And we can't do that. We'd have to do 15 amendments in the system. They don't work because you came from one sector of a center. You're leaving into another center. Automation-wise, it is a complete nightmare. And honestly, if you have done that, the best thing is just say, we're going to file again. Have somebody type in a manual flight plan would be easier than trying to automate the one that has dropped out. So this is just like scenario 2 flight plans, especially for those that are traveling back at jet altitudes after they do approaches. It won't work.
Yes. Trying to get that departure procedure in there and the altitude so that it files, so that it automates with the center. Because, you know, you take off out of the beach, you're on a departure, you climb up to altitude, you're on a route, it gives you an arrival to triad, but then like the rest of your flight plan is triad direct. Well, I can't do that.
Right. And if you try to put it in there, it'll say not your control. It basically tells the controller, no matter what you type, we're not going to let you do this. You're going to have to do a manual, which center also doesn't like to pick up phone calls about a manual handoff for a guy they worked 2 hours ago to come back to their airspace.
I could call the center and tell them they won a prize. You won $10,000 and they wouldn't pick up the landline. Okay. You won a paycheck for the entire shutdown.
Nope, not picking up.
Not picking up.
I've fallen for this before.
Was that for us? This is a manual handoff in disguise.
All right, so let's review the question. Should I file multiple flight plans? It depends. If you are unsure of how to stay on one side of the fence, and for GA, under 10,000 feet, doing multiple practice approaches, if you're getting the most out of your time in the airplane, 1 or 2 hour flight, you're able, most likely, to stay inside that controller's airspace. If you're at Duke, ask them if there's anybody that knows how to do practice approaches. Say, what time do they start today? That's what time we'll leave. I still enjoy making fun of them.
Burn.
And if you're filing between, you have to go facility to facility. You're on a boundary airport, or the airports in that control facility's airspace don't have the type of approach that you want, and you do have to cross a boundary, file a separate flight plan. And I didn't mention this yet. I think this is a good opportunity. If, you know, eventually at one point, maybe after one of these approaches, let's do a full stop. We're going to regroup. We're going to call and get our clearance again. We're going to treat this, all the things that happen in real life. You're going to have to call and get a clearance.
Yes,
we're going to get a new code. They're going to have our flight plan because we filed it. And guess what? Even if you were off on the time, it's active for 2 hours in there. It won't fall out. The control, it'll be sitting next to the controller, so you don't have to be perfect on that.
That right there is the easiest scenario for controllers. For sure. Because then you're just like any other departure. Everything becomes very simple. Let me say this before I forget. If you're going to stay inside the airspace, and you know that you're going to stay multiple airports inside one facility, don't file multiple flight plans for that. That's a pain. It's not necessary. You could stay on one. Even if it drops out of the system, it doesn't matter. I own the tag. I get to keep it. I get to do whatever I want with it for however long I want. So
yeah, if you did file multiple just because you wanted to get practice doing it, they're just going to sit there. They're not going to get used.
Yeah.
The first one you take off with, that code's going to be the one you stay. Again, repeating, if you're staying in the same airspace. So use the phone number. If you're unsure, call. Hey, I'm trying to do these type of approaches. I'd like to go to these airports. If the supervisor hears one of them's over in Duke's airspace, they're going to say, hey, that's going to be a pain. Stay over here. We can offer these 2 airports. And really, South Radar's job at Triad is to feed final and do practice approaches. Right. That's what they do.
Satellites.
Yep. It's basically satellite. And there are satellite airports on the west sector, the north side of the airport, but there just aren't as many, and they're not as common to use for training. So, any other closing remarks? This is a good question. I'm glad we got to go over it again. I cut you off before when it was a military thing. I think you got it, though.
I think so. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we missed, but I don't think so.
We did not read this one line. Don't assume if you are one of these jets coming from far away and you come to this awesome airport because we have 2 long parallel runways and everybody says this is the best airport to do approaches at, because it is. Don't assume that everybody knows about your return strip, your return flight plan. It's sitting up in the tower.
Right.
It's over in a pilot clearance.
Yep.
When you get done with your practice approaches, that's when you throw out the reminder, hey, we have an outbound. We want to pick it up on the next, that's when the controller calls the tower and says, hey, do you see this outbound? Hey, read it to them on the next arrival. They're going back to XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah. Ground could be ground and clearance combined for us anyway, could be so busy that they don't even know that you're here in the airspace.
Right. And why should they have to care?
Right.
They're not, you never got on the ground. You're not one of their customers.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, great point. Don't assume that everybody knows about you.
Anything else? I'm looking through my notes to make sure I don't forget anything.
No, I think we covered that pretty good.
Cool. Mike Golf, good luck. Thank you for sharing the question or asking. And if you are unsure of a specific, don't be afraid to call that facility and ask.
That's always that just goes for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's free. It's free to call.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Oh, you know what? I was going to say one thing. If you're not sure and you want to look real quick without having to call the facility, who works that approach,
mm-hmm.
What facility this lies in, there's a couple ways to look at it. All right. You can check the approach plate,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to say an approach control. Now, that's not always a guarantee about who's going to work it, depending on which runway you're going to. Could be a boundary airport.
Mm-hmm.
But you could look there, and that'll at least sort of give you an indication of what airspace this lies in. Mm-hmm. Because a Duke airport is not going to say Triad approach on the thing. The other one is the phone number. When it says for clearance delivery, contact,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to tell you the facility name.
Mm-hmm.
That is also going to be an indication of whose airspace this is sitting in. So that's a quick way to check.
Good point.
Yep.
All right.
Good. Now I feel better. I knew there was something nagging at me.
Cool. Moving on.
Okay.
Feedback time.
Back.
Do you want number one? There are 4 of these. They're funs. They're funsies.
That's fine. That's good. Number one. I was waiting. I don't know why I was waiting for the music, but I haven't had that in years. Right, you heard it.
It's only me.
I haven't had it in years. You had an expectant look on your face. I was like,
can I rant about something real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
We are not together. We're a remote recording, and we try to make this sound like we're together. Yeah. We don't have a production department. It's us.
We are them. Yep.
We are those people.
Right.
I really am bothered by a lot of shows, professional shows, where they make no effort to make it sound like the people are together. Please put a little effort into it. Rant over.
Yeah. I mean,
like one of them sounds like they're literally in the payphone looking up Doc Brown's phone number. Like it's that bad.
Let me get this tin box that I could record inside of and put no sound deadening material at all.
Or do it in a car, like on a cell phone.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Sounds great, peoples. Okay, go ahead.
Snobby audio people.
Look, I'm not being snobby about it.
No. I just, I know you're not. I know. But that's what some people are going to say. That's what the other podcast people, the other radio people are going to say. Mm-hmm. But then we get emails like hate mail about, oh, I heard a noise in the background while I was listening to your show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Really sorry. All right. Number one, from Penguin Not Juliet Kilo. Hello, RHNAG on a recent IFR night cross country from the Rittenhouse Delta to the Fishy Echo northeast of the Lambo Charlie. The Fishy Echo northeast of I have no idea where that is. I was illuminated by a powerful green laser at an altitude of 9,000 feet. I reported the laser strike to approach immediately. And luckily, because it was coming from my 7 to 8 o'clock, it had minimal disruption for my flight and did not significantly impact my vision. I got the bright idea to turn off my external lights as a way to avoid being targeted by this laser-wielding individual. Excuse me. I was wondering how common laser strikes are in your airspace and what tips you have for pilots who may encounter one. Oh, boy. You're not going to want to hear this. I would like to suggest turning off external lights as a potential course of action to make a mental note of to any pilots who may find themselves in this situation. I think it's safe to say that whatever risks come with not having the lights on for a few minutes while on an IFR flight plan in cruise flight are outweighed by the benefits of being able to continue your flight without the danger and disruption that comes with being illuminated by a high-power laser. I was curious what your thoughts and recommendations are on this subject and would like to arm my fellow pilots with a course of action they can take should they face a similar situation. Thanks for all you guys do for the aviation community. Juliet Kilo. I cannot stand this. I cannot stand laser. First of all, let's just talk about these ding-dongs on the ground. Lasing airplanes. What are you doing?
Why?
Just to see, like, how far? Is it a curiosity? Oh, I wonder if I could see my laser on this plane. Stop doing that. I know that people listening to the show are not the ones lasing airplanes.
They're not.
But please, just please stop doing it.
And if you are having fun doing it, just keep in mind, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. You have low intelligence, but maybe this will soak in. It can hurt them.
Yes, you can damage people's eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, please stop.
It's not like the one you aim at the wall and have the cat like jump on the drywall. It's not that. Like there's ones out there that can really hurt you.
Yes.
And do you want that airplane crashing? Because that could happen.
What you're engaging in is criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
Please stop.
Stop doing that. I will explain what has to happen as a controller when a pilot gives a laser event. If you are unfortunate enough to be on the desk, you're the person in charge. You are filling out paperwork. You're filling out a report. It has a lot of questions: the color, the direction, the tail number, the call, the altitude, clock position, relative to the pilot, a grid coordinate for the origination of this laser, which at best is 5 miles of accuracy.
Right. So you've narrowed it down to like 20,000 people it could be in some metropolitan area.
Yeah. Where is this? Well, it's inside of this 40,000 acre area right over here. Oh, good. There's just but one house there, so we know who it is. Okay, so all right, so we fill out all this information. Then this is where it gets really fun and exciting. Have to call law enforcement. I am required to call the sheriff's department and tell them, okay, that there was a laser event. Now, the farther you get away from Triad as a city, okay, the farther you get, the questions become greater and greater. What? Who is this? Who? Air traffic control? Where? What are you talking about?
We don't even have an airport in our county.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is met with confusion, and they're like, "You're reporting a what? What happened?"
Right.
And then you have to explain to this person, okay, someone on the ground with a laser pointer pointed it at an airplane. And they're like, okay. Now, where do we go from here?
You know what I've said to that question? One of my last ones that I got, I said, look, here's what's going to happen. I had to fill out a report. It basically ends up in a trash can. I need you to make it seem like you're writing something down. And if that ends up in a trash can, so be it. But this conversation has to occur. And I have to know that I talked to somebody so that I can put that on my report.
Yes.
Have a nice night.
Right. Yeah. Now, I have seen controllers say, where it says law enforcement contact information, like get a name or a badge number or something. No. I just put the county sheriff, this county sheriff's office, and the phone number.
That's it.
That's it.
Report done.
No.
Oh.
You have one more phone call to make. You have to call the secret people on the 24/7 hotline.
We do?
Yes.
I do not remember this. This was a step I wasn't doing.
Right. So this in the report now that you're filling out, it has law enforcement notified contact information, and then this entity notified.
Really?
So right as I'm placing that call, I put that time in and hit submit. By the time I get them on the phone, they already see it.
Oh.
Then now we can discuss it. And they ask questions. Do you have this? Do you have that? Yes. Okay. Whatever. Thanks. Have a good night.
What do you think they do with this report?
It is compiled, I'm sure, into some database so that we can, have a graph later and like what color happens, what color of laser is more common, and injuries, were there injuries, is that, how common is that, so they can have data. But nothing is actually happening with this. There's no actionable information.
Now, I remember one where there was a habit near Antenna Airport where it was happening. It seemed like in the same place. I felt like, okay, there's some trend here. This seems to happen on all my Monday night shifts. It's the same person. It has to be. It's the same place. Like you could hear them key up. I know they're going to tell me they're getting lasered.
Yep.
It's this week. They're out on their porch. They're mad. There's another plane flying over my house. How dare they?
Yeah. Right.
But guess what? They'll never get them because you can't pinpoint it.
Right.
Unless you are stupid enough to laze a police helicopter, which has been done. There's a recent story of that being done, and they caught them. This person had to pay a fine and serve prison time for this.
Excellent.
Yes, but that was the one.
The one time.
The one time.
Maybe we could employ the Apache guys.
With weapons? No.
Yeah.
Darn
no.
it. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
We're going to get hate mail for that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I got way too excited about violence. I'm sorry.
But the Apache guys, I'm sure, would be more than happy to go out and get lased.
Oh, yeah.
And then they are very capable of tracking down and providing a grid coordinate that is probably less than 10 meters accurate. Maybe 3 meters accurate.
To get law enforcement there, not to actually shoot them.
Yeah, no. Okay. We're not calling in an airstrike. No.
Montgomery County airstrike. Did you say all you wanted about lasers?
I think so. It's just super annoying. It feels pointless because nothing happens.
Right. Except more laser events.
And now somebody is taken out of the operation to do this report.
Yeah.
So should you turn your lights off? I don't know. I don't want to say yes, as guidance.
Yeah, we certainly can't endorse that because we're supposed to have them on. But I think you're right. The disadvantage of having your lights off on an IFR flight plan, talking to air traffic, The lights are meant so you could other airplanes can see and avoid. Okay, why don't I have a flight plan? Guess what? They won't. The person with the laser will not be able to see you anymore. They'll never be able to find you again. They can hear you,
Right.
but big sky. There's no way they'd find you again. They need something to aim at. So a mile or two with no lights on would probably do the trick.
Yeah.
But we can't tell you to do that.
Right. Yeah, I can't say do that. But I can tell you what happens with a report, and what we do and what doesn't take place is, any sort of enforcement or justice. No justice is happening. So you do with that what you want.
Right. And you're trying to avoid harm to yourself. So
Right.
if by chance someone said, why'd you turn the lights off? Which no one will ever ask you that. I didn't want to get laser beamed in my eyes.
Right.
Great answer.
Right.
Thanks for your chat. Goodbye.
Somebody's going to ask, well, should we just not say anything?
There are pilots who are not saying anything.
I'm sure there are. I would say the only downside to that is now I can't avoid that area. I can't tell other pilots, hey, there's a laser here. Let's turn you, away from that. So then you're just potentially exposing more people to it.
Which we didn't mention. That is part of the course of action that a controller takes.
Oh, yeah, right.
Is for the next X amount of time, you say, hey, there's reported laser activity in the area. Use caution. So the pilots should know, all right, don't go staring at the ground right now. Keep your eyes up here, and hopefully they don't get you.
Right. Right.
Cool.
Okay.
I get number 2. From Penguin at Delta Delta RH and AG. A few weeks ago, I was going back to Florida after taking off from Iowa. It's a long flight. It's the 49th state that I visited as a pilot in command. Congrats.
Wow.
I only have Alaska left. I was on an IFR flight plan in VFR conditions at 7,000 feet, solo in my Cirrus SR-20. Unfortunately, while talking to high Earth approach, I got a prop overspeed warning that caused me to severely reduce power. It turns out my prop governor was no longer functioning. That could be ugly quickly, so I declared an emergency, and high Earth approach gave me a vector to the nearest airport. They were very helpful and gave me the weather, helped select a runway, and gave me the common traffic advisory frequency, so it's a non-towered airport at the time. This is the frequency pilots would self-announce on. I am very thankful for their help. My training doing power-off landings for the commercial check ride allowed me to have a successful landing on the runway. The big difference was that I did not pick a spot on the runway to land and touched down only a few seconds after lining up with the runway just above stall. Definitely not a stable approach. Well, you're talking about it, which means it worked. So,
Success.
yeah. All those failed attempts of power-off landings in practice allowed me to know what to do. So those failed attempts at power-off landings where you continue to land the plane can be just as helpful in a real emergency. There are times when you cannot go around. I also want to thank the ATC personnel that are working during the shutdown. Supercast supporter, Delta Delta. This is a very good point. This is nuanced. So in your power-off 180s, that's a maneuver you practice. I'm going to summarize it very quickly on what I can remember from it. At pattern altitude, beam the numbers. You simulate a loss of power. And there's argument out there, are we trying to simulate an engine failure or just a mastery of the airplane and knowing how you're going to conduct the rest of this pattern so that you can hit this spot? And the commercial and CFI standard is -0 on the point you pick, plus 100 feet, which is half of, it's about a runway stripe. A runway stripe is 120 feet on a normal runway. It's a very small area to hit.
Yeah.
Now,
It is quite small when you're going, 70,
80, 90 miles an hour. Yeah. Yeah, and you have no power. And the maneuver, the point of the maneuver, at least from my instructor point of view, was to determine your ability to read the wind, understand the limitations of the airplane, when to get dirty, configure with flaps or gear if you had it, and how far you could make it, because you can't put power in. You're putting this airplane down. Now, there's debate over there. Hey, I'm not going to hit my point. Can I go around? Some examiners may say, of course, go around. This is a maneuver to check your mastery. You know you're not going to make it. Go around. And they can also check that box off on a check ride. You did a go around. You can't do that 6 times, though. So eventually you have to put it down. Some instructors will imply, and I don't know if this is bad, but they're implying that you should always put it down. And you can't go around. And that's what he's saying, or she in this feedback is, hey, I couldn't go around. I had no ability to. No, I didn't hit a point because I didn't pick one, but I got on the runway. I stopped the airplane, and it was a successful outcome. So it's just as important to not hit a point, but to know that what your airplane is capable of doing. I would much rather be long than short.
Yes.
Provided it's long enough runway, of course. I think the thing you definitely don't want to get in the habit of is falling short, because you're going to have to go around. You're not going to simulate landing on the grass 200 feet prior to the runway. That would be bad.
No.
So the constructors have to be very open-minded on how they conduct this. If it's not going to work, and you know it's not going to work at 500 feet, go around and do it again. Get better at the maneuver. Don't take it to 12 feet off the ground before you realize, like, yep, runway's still way over there. We're not going to make it. That's not safe.
Right.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you made it down, and thanks for the
Yes.
shout out for ATC.
Yes. Thank you.
Do number 4. We'll finish with the audio from number 3.
All right. Number 4 from Penguin Mike Foxtrot. Good morning, RHNAG. I've been listening for about a year now and can't say enough good things to anyone about your... I can't say enough good things to anyone.
I think you meant everyone.
Okay. Ouch.
I can't say anything good about your show.
Not a thing.
This is great feedback. How did this get in here?
I feel like my situational awareness in the cockpit has benefited from so much of your content. I recently passed my private and
Congrats.
Yes, congrats. And like other great Antarctic explorers, pressed on in search of a way to stuff my iceberg with more penguins. Right now, I love it. Right now, I am working on instrument in a group with some other listeners of this podcast. Cool. And an interesting question came up yesterday. I had actually been planning a VFR flight from the Lexington and Concord Delta under the Beantown Bravo to Ocean City.
That's New Jersey. That's Ocean City. It's Ocean City, New Jersey.
Okay. And although I did not make the trip, I got curious about the approach plates at Ocean City. I was surprised to find that this airport has an ILS approach to runway 6. How would it come to be that a non-towered airport would have an ILS approach, specifically an airport in Class Golf? Who is responsible for monitoring its service and managing applicable NOTAMs? And would proximity to other towered airports, military or civilian, be a factor? Maybe the airport at one time was towered and had some commercial traffic. I see specifically here that the military base nearby is the overlying TRACON, and on the VFR sectional, the ILS approach would be in an alert area. Many thanks, as always, for your help, Mike Fox. Okay, so this isn't super uncommon. We have in our airspace, non-towered airports, several of them with ILSs. Mm-hmm. I'll just tell them to you so you can go look at it. EXX, Davidson County, Burlington, BUI, Stanley County. When they close at night, it is a towered airport, but when they close, they still have an ILS. Mm-hmm. And the same with Cigarette, INT, at night. When they close, the ILS is still functioning. Now, the last two towered ones, those personnel are the ones responsible for maintaining the ILS. At Cigarette, it's our people from Triad that maintain the ILS. At EXX and BUI, I don't know who. Maybe it is us.
I think it's us, but I think the monitoring system to make sure it's working all night is, for all these, is at the center.
Yes, it is at, what do they call the something operations.
Oh yeah, I can't. A sock?
Yeah.
I can't
Regional.
remember
I
that.
don't know. Yeah.
The Rock.
So, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's somewhere else, remotely done. Just like the monitors for our ILSs at Triad are in the tower. The monitors for these ILSs are somewhere in a remote location,
Right. But not in our tower.
but not in our tower. No. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, what the formula is for who keeps an eye on this stuff and who is responsible for maintaining it, doing preventative maintenance on it, etc. But somebody is, and it's not super uncommon. We don't have the other one is Martinsville up to the north. It has a localizer, no glide slope. It's localizer only, but that's a non-towered with, with some kind of equipment on the ground. So,
I think Mike Fox, maybe at some point you read something or heard something, kind of created this myth in your head that non-towered airports can't have ILSs. I don't think I've ever heard that, and I don't think they were ever towered. Some of these ones, it's possible there was a tower at one of the ones that you're talking about in your feedback, but it's normal to have a precision approach at a non-towered airport. It's not a requirement. You don't have to have a tower to get an ILS.
right.
It may feel that way in your training, but that's not the case.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else on that feedback?
Nope. I like it though.
Glad you're studying with other listeners, and keep sending your questions. We'll try to answer them on the show.
Yeah.
All right, last one is from Penguinot Hotel Golf. Send in audio. We'll talk about some quick points, and we'll close it out with that. The audio is about 4 minutes long. It's in there. I did not hit the loop button. I'm ready when you are.
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
Hey there, RH and AJ. This is Hotel Golf. Loved your response to the making procedures more approachable, making approaches more approachable. In my line of work, I often run into a situation, or lots of situations, where removing obstacles is at least as, if not more effective than adding things to do. So how this applies to my comment is when you're learning instruments, especially early on, you are essentially getting a fire hose of information. There's just so much information. Your brain becomes a bottleneck to all that information, and you're just simply overwhelmed with how much you need to absorb and synthesize and respond to compared to what you were used to when you're doing VFR flying only. Two things that occurred to me that really helped me early on in my instrument training was that, ironically, when we're learning instruments for the first time, we're doing it hopefully in VFR, VMC. And unless you're absolutely going to be flying in honest to goodness stormy weather, which is IMC, which in a small light GA plane is highly not recommended, a lot of your IMC actual is going to be much better flying weather from an IMC perspective and from an approach perspective than the practicing that you've been doing as a VFR in VMC. We can get into the meteorology of it all, but when you're most likely going to be finding yourself on an instrument approach because of actual IMC, it's usually not nearly as windy. It's usually not nearly as unstable. There's usually a lot less turbulence. So while you're learning the instrument procedures in VMC, it's a lot harder to control the plane and keep it on glide slope and on localizer, etc., or whatever you're using to do the approach. So holding your altitudes, assuming you're not using automation, holding the altitudes, holding the lateral navigation, and all that is so much harder while learning than in actual. So knowing this, recognize that your overwhelm is going to be less when you actually need to use your IMC skills, your IFR skills. Same goes for the radios, same goes for the approach plates, the procedures, because most of those procedures are written for edge cases, like when you're not under radar, or you're not talking to somebody, or you got to fly the entire thing. In reality, if you're anywhere near a facility with radar and a tower, you're going to be vectored around. So while you're going to be doing a whole lot of full procedure, full approach practice, when you get out in the real world, it's rare that you're going to do that. In fact, if you ask for it, unless you tell them you're training, they're going to be weirded out by why would you want to fly the entire procedure? I was once very early on after getting my instrument. It was loosely IMC, kind of wispy. It wasn't terrible. I probably could have done it VFR. But I was flying on an instrument play plan, and I was taking myself to the instrument approach. And I was talking at this point, I forgot if it was Tracon or Tower, and I did the procedure turn, and ATC keyed up and said, "Are you doing the procedure turn?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, let me know when you're at this fix and coming out of it." It was completely caught by surprise because under normal conditions, I wouldn't have had to do the procedure turn, but I was so used to doing it because it was fairly close after getting my instrument that I did the whole turn. Those are my 2 points to relieve the bottleneck in your brain. Keep in mind that your conditions when learning instruments are going to be much harder for the most part than your conditions when you're actually doing it. Maybe that'll relieve some pressure in your brain and kind of open up the bottleneck a little bit. And to everyone out there who's studying on their instrument, I would not fly more than a few hundred miles away from my home base until I had my instrument. It was just not going to work because I did not want to get stuck. So good luck for everybody out there, and go fly. This is Hotel Golf from underneath the, what do we call this thing now? The really big Bravo with a really, really secure ring around it. I don't know what to call it. Adios.
Excellent audio. Thank you, Hotel Golf.
Yeah, that did sound really good. Yeah.
Takeaways from the audio? I wrote down a couple points that I thought of when I was listening to it, but
It's a really good point. I don't think I ever put it into words like that. But to back that sentiment up, flying IFR was always easier. I would rather do that.
right.
You're just taken care of. It takes us so much of the guesswork out of where am I? What airspace am I in? What is coming up? What CTAF calls? You know, especially for helicopter guys, we're down there at 1,000 feet blasting through, non-towered airports constantly, and you're having to look up CTAF and make calls. And man, just let me be at 6,000 and have the autopilot on and turning a knob.
Talking to a controller.
Right.
Not worried about airspace.
Don't care. What airspace are we in? Don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. What about if you're under Bravo? I can't go that fast. It doesn't matter.
Right. I will echo that sentiment. IFR flying, once you're in the system and out of training, is way less stressful
Yes.
than what you practiced in your training, doing multiple approaches at airport A, B, and C, and misses, and
Right.
A to B IFR flying is so much easier.
Yeah, and I would say most of the IFR traffic we have, if the weather's good, they're just doing a visual.
Right.
You don't have to do an approach. Do a visual.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. That is something that is rarely, if ever, taught in instrument training. And it has to be. So listen to the ATIS. They're advertising visual approaches. Guess what? It doesn't matter. You don't have to do the RNAV. You don't have to do an ILS. You could back it up with one of those. But they're going to clear for the visual approach in a position that you're not really expecting. And it's the first time it's the first time you've been responsible from a vertical guidance and lateral guidance on your own, looking, hey, guess what? Look outside. I don't want to say I have it. Then I have to go do it myself.
Especially on a downwind.
Right.
You're at 7,000 or 8,000 feet on the downwind in a jet. Like, oh, now what? What do we do now?
That is an interesting... Can I talk about that briefly?
Yes.
At a Bravo airport, if you don't get the ILS, it's already kind of your step 2. If you don't get an ILS at a Bravo, is a visual that's probably fed on a 30-degree intercept to the final. Maybe on a base. At a Charlie airport, and I really have to hand it to regional pilots that are in and out of both. They're into Bravos, but they also come to Charlies. It's the bread and butter to Charlie to get the clearance on a downwind if there's no other traffic. And you might be the only traffic for that 5-minute span.
Right.
And that is significantly more difficult to manage from a pilot perspective. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
First of all, we're 5,000 feet above the ground. What do they want us to do? Go land? He said, contact the tower. Yeah,
Right.
but what do I do?
Where do we go?
If you say you have the airport at a Charlie on an IFR flight plan on a downwind, you're going to get a clearance. Almost 9 out of 10 times, you're going to get a visual approach clearance. You're on your own. Goodbye. Contact tower. There's nobody else out there.
Right.
Just keep that in mind. If you want to wait till you're on the base and you're in a comfort zone at the right altitude underneath the glide path, and that's when you want to call it, that's totally fine. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but just don't complain about when ATC turns your base.
Exactly.
Hey, why did we go out this far? Because you didn't call the field.
I saw you pass. I actually looked out the window and saw you.
Yeah, and be careful if you're like a straight in or, basically you're on the arrival side. This happens all the time. We got guys at 12,000. They're descending. I say turn 10 degrees left, join final, report to field and sight. Oh, we got the field. Okay. You're 40 miles from the field at 12,000 feet, clear visual approach, runway 23 left. And they'll come, and there's like a hesitation. Okay, didn't expect that.
So good lesson. If you say you have the airport, that whole script that he just went through in a second happens 100 times a day. And the next thing they're going to say after you say, yeah, I see it. It's not an eye test. We're not going to hand you a gold star. Oh, look, cool. You're the furthest away today that saw the airport.
Nice job.
Nope, you're getting a clearance for the visual.
And I'm switching you to the tower. Well, probably not at 40 miles. But
Depends on who's working the tower and who I want to get under their skin. But
right.
when I know they have to scroll out to find them.
Who is that?
Anyway, I'm glad we got to bring that up. If you're coming up at the end of your your IFR training and you haven't done a visual approach, practice one from a downwind at 3,000 or 4,000 feet above the ground, and practice one where you're on an ILS vector and they say, hey, the airport's 11 o'clock and 2 miles. You have it. Just you get there. You finish it, because that's going to be a large portion of your arrivals into Charlie and some Bravos where you will not get an ILS or an RNAV.
Right. If you want to be vectored out, just say that. Hey, could you base us just outside the final approach fix, or whatever your preference is? Set us up on a 10-mile final. If you're in a GA plane, a small, GA plane, obviously you don't need to go that far for a visual. But jets, sometimes King Airs, they want to go out, they want to go out a little bit, especially at night.
Yeah, they want to. And they want to join final outside of the final approach fix.
Don't. For the controllers out there. Okay, do we have time?
Sure.
Stop pointing people at the final approach fix at these ridiculous angles from the departure side of the field. Stop doing that. Stop doing that to jets, especially. What do you expect them to do?
Yeah, they still have to accomplish a 180-degree turn.
So now they have to turn like miles in front of to be able to join. They can't just magically do this, I don't know,
150-degree turn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
To join? Come on, help them out a little bit.
Yeah, I always endorsed straight downwinds and box bases. The death by vector is pointless. The obtuse angle towards final doesn't help anybody. It's lazy.
No. It is lazy.
Cool. Great feedback, Hotel Golf. Thanks for sharing it. And for those that are in instrument training and you think you're overwhelmed, it does get easier, but you have to go through the cycle here. The training for IFR is hard.
It is, yes.
And once you get it, you have to stay current by going back and doing some of this stuff if you want to stay good at it. Doing 100 visual approaches isn't going to help you today. You need an ILS down to 400 feet above the ground.
Yeah,
so
true.
Cool.
Yeah,
All
do an approach every once in a while.
We do our best to respond to supporter feedback and let you know if you'll be on an upcoming show. Anything to add before the chat?
I do not.
Closing out episode 411 of Opposing Bases Air Traffic Talk. Romeo Hotel.
And Alpha Golf. Goodbye, everyone.
Drop. Opposing Bases is a listener-supported, ad-free weekly podcast. The views expressed on the show do not reflect the opinions or official positions of the FAA or Penguin Airlines. Episodes are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace flight instruction. To get on-time access, bonus content, and full archive access, join the crew at opposingbases.supercast.com.